The Beef and Barnzy Show, brought to you by Bowlersmart.com, trusted by bowlers around the world since 2004. By Lightning Strikes Bowl, home of Bowlers Mart Pro Shop. By Platinum Ford, drive the difference. By Fire Lake Bowling Center, 24 state-of-the-art lanes. By True Grit Coatings, drive on our passion. By Road to Grip, king of them all. By 900 Global, striking worldwide.
Good morning and welcome back to the Beef and Barnzy Show, where it's actually both of us. I'm Barnzy, joined by the inimitable Beef Stew. How are you this morning?
Better than I deserve.
I think you mentioned you were dehydrated, but in a much different way than most of the tour players.
Yeah. I'm just, don't know. Woke up with a bit of a headache, probably because I didn't drink enough water. So let's fix that by drinking a Kickstart.
There you go. That should really hydrate you.
Yeah, really help. Yeah.
74 grams of caffeine or whatever that is to get you moving.
Yeah. Oh well.
I heard of a new favorite workout routine, kind of exercise. It's was it somewhere between a lunge and a punch? They call it lunch. So, yeah, right. Dad joke.
You're all weak, folks.
Bang bang, coming out firing today. All right. Let's see. Nick, of course, first up.
Yeah.
Sure.
I mean, they're going for it, but they're in Barnes' house. They're in Barnes' house in Mika's state. I'm not liking their chances.
What are you saying, Stu?
These crazy people think that there's going to be a JJ or a Hess win in your state and Barnes' bowling center. Strange.
Well, I like where your head's at.
But what's the topic of the day? Let's talk about the house china that's out for the ladies. God damn.
I haven't even seen it.
Let's talk about that. They put out like 4-1 in Green Bay where the carry's good. So the cut was about for 32. I think the cut was 220 over.
Oh, is that the same place we bowled the Masters at?
Yeah, Ashwaubenon
20 years ago.
Yeah, nice place, but like every light hit carries.
Yeah, the topography in that place is a disaster, though. Wow. So they have to be easy. That's probably why they made them easy.
Like I say, it's 4-1. They bowled 12 games. I mean, it's not like it's super crazy, but in comparison to what the ladies usually bowl on, and the fact that the ladies' patterns are way harder than your patterns. Well, not this week. I can tell you that. Not this week.
The ladies' patterns are harder than our patterns because the ladies are bowling on them.
Well, it's just
not harder; they're lower scoring.
Yeah, well, some of the patterns they bowl on are very difficult.
Yep,
and even more difficult by the fact that the ladies don't have as much rev rate to break the lane down.
No, but they play as far left these days, so they don't all pile up on 10 anymore and just roll them up like they used to.
But Josie is leading, so good for her. Hey, Chris, what's going on, baby?
Yeah, your partner's on a hot streak, right? Just in time to head for the Lucy.
Yes. Yeah. She's I told her in advance, I said, make sure you win all of the important tournaments, the ones that pay a lot more. So she won the Queens, which was 6 times a regular event. So that seemed like a good choice. I mean, if you're going to win one, you might as well win the one that pays 60 rather than the one that pays 10.
Right. 100%.
I mean, I know that's the Chris Barnes School of Economics.
I like it. All right, Chris Gillings, how are you today?
Yeah, my man Skillings. So,
we have a snowman date?
Do you think 3,300 will win team event at nationals this year? Feels like it's going to.
Yeah, I'm actually surprised. There's been a few higher scores than I anticipated here lately, but I just don't think, in general, the rules make it really hard for the top players and the PB guys that are left to put teams together strong enough to make a run at that.
The lane pattern also makes it quite difficult to make a run.
There's also that. Well, I mean, but there has been some like, okay, well, Andrew Anderson shot 760. Like, well, maybe it's just out there if you're just bowling that well. But
I mean, the other part of that Andrew Anderson one was he bowled with Nida who also bowled 740. So they actually bowled 300 over between them.
And didn't, yeah. There we go.
So yes, we will ramp up our adverts of that, Chris.
Get your entries in now.
Somebody says it's a great time to see the dream team back together. Yeah. Somebody asked about the topography. You said you didn't feel like it was very good there.
As I remember it was, yeah, it was one of the first years they posted, and it was there were some bad crosses, so to speak. But
I just remember bowling about 740 and getting my lunch stolen from me by Tom Baker. He bowled about 790, I think. And Tom was one of those guys who, once he gets lined in,
yeah,
not like his ball is breaking the lane down a great deal.
One of the more underrated guys.
Yeah, he can make some shots.
There's not that many guys that have won back-to-back tournaments in their career. Yeah, it was a minute ago, but
yeah.
Well, the ability to do that is not that's.
Yeah, he definitely messed me up. But yeah, that was the one that we that was the Masters that we constantly give AJ a bit of a hard time about. Like, do you think the first shot you threw on TV's even stopped yet, AJ? Because that one was flying, bro. Has it slowed down yet, babe?
Eugene Spareball going down there.
Oh yeah, yeah. He definitely wasn't going to have it hook early on him. Yeah. Yeah, the big kid in the playground decided to take my lunch. So, so yeah, let's have a little bit of chat about Bowl Expo. You went to Bowl Expo for the first time in a minute.
It's been a little bit.
Yeah. Did you? Was it well attended? Was it everything that you hoped, dreamed of?
I mean, one of the things about being old, I went to Bowl Expo in a different era when there was 250 more proprietors and another 150 more pro shop guys, and the whole thing's consolidated a little bit. And so the storm booth was interesting because you actually couldn't really see it from the outside, and they had a video board up front, and then you walked around, and then you were inside kind of your own
storm world. So
yeah, and they had some contests and stuff going on where they had ball giveaways, and so the storm booth was really busy. And I'm like, wow, it's busier than I thought. And then I walked out of that at one point at like lunch to go grab a quick bite, and I went, oh, they're all there.
Yeah. It does. Not going to get into the economics of it, but it does seem like the last few years that it's one of those deals where like everybody sort of goes, it's a bit like nationals. I'm sick of going to Nevada to bowl nationals. Okay, let's take it somewhere else. Nobody enters.
Yeah.
And it's a bit like that with Bowl Expo.
Well, like Bowl Expo, nationals, anything. The East Coast guys always scream about, hey, we never go to the East Coast. And then we go there and then nobody shows up.
Now, their argument, and I think it would be somewhat fair, is that the guys on the West Coast don't travel.
Yeah.
So they go to the East Coast. But when it's in the West Coast, the East Coast guys still travel. Would be the argument.
Yeah. It's the Houston DFW debate about bowling.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, the Houston guys come to Dallas. Dallas guys don't go to Houston.
Yes. But
they go to Oklahoma City, but they won't go to Houston.
No, well, Houston it isn't the funnest drive. But just quickly on the thing, the last couple of years they've been at these Gaylord casinos that are like really expensive.
Yeah.
And not particularly close to anywhere in particular. And it just, I don't think it's worked out. Like talking to boots on the ground, guys who would normally go, they're just like, nah, yeah.
Yeah, the rate and how those things normally work is there's a kickback to Bowl Expo and those kind of things on the hotel rooms, and so you're not getting a fantastic rate on the deal either. And it's an expensive place. It's nice. They're really nice, but you're paying for it. And you're right on the
Yes.
Potomac River. It's a nice area. We walked around. There's lots of restaurants and stuff close by, and there's lots of stuff there in the facility as well. And guys didn't have to go out anywhere else if they didn't want to partake and have a good time. But yeah, it's still a good time. It was still, I saw a lot of people that I hadn't seen in a while, and so that part was fun. There's less introductions in general than there used to be out there, at least from our side. Um, but if you've never been to Bowl Expo, I mean, there's a lot of things that are pretty cool. All the food vendors are there trying to sell the bowling centers, of course. Cubica is making a big push along with, I think, Funk to sell strings, and so there was, basically full setups there.
Yeah,
To
I've
be
always
around and watch, and they drew a lot of. They were the other big draw, I think, as far as getting a lot of traffic.
I've always thought about like Bowl Expo. Like I've never really understood why the women didn't have being as the BPWA owns the women's tour, for want of a better description. I've never really understood why they didn't have the women like literally bowling in the Bowl Expo and it be something.
Well, they
like
did
not
it in
just
Dallas
throwing
one year.
shots. Yeah.
They had it. They had it at Euless and I believe is at a Gaylord, but there it was very close together. And then I don't remember if that was the one where the show was. The show might have been at Cowboy Stadium that year.
Yeah. But I just mean like when they've got the
attended.
machines in the bowl in the Bowl Expo, I just think that like if they had something going on that like even if it was like a like a beat the board or something, but something that had something on it. So because it's all well and good talking about the strings and throwing a few house balls down there and whatever else, but like if I was a bowling center, I feel like I'd want to see a bit more of what was going on with the strings so I could answer the questions, to my
Yeah, and I think that's what they had full bowling going on from that standpoint, but it was just people throwing house balls and stuff.
But that's what I'm saying. I mean like something competitive going on. Hey Steve, morning. My son is participating in his first junior gold this year. God bless you, Steve. Yeah, better sharpen those elbows. What advice would you have for him to maximize his 40 minutes of practice on each pattern? Much appreciated. For me, I'll go first and then Chris can give a more technical. For me, the main part of this 40 minutes of practice is understand where the friction is and don't worry about throwing strikes because they're not going to be the same. Because if the oil in the lane's like a billion times for these practices, and then you go out and bowl again. So don't get too wrapped up in like throwing strikes. What you really want to do is kind of understand where the friction is. Is it going to be a pattern where you need to get the ball a long way away from the head pin or keep it kind of close to the head pin? Is it going to be a pattern that you're going to use urethane on? And like go from there? Because of course I guess you still have to build out your arsenal after the practice.
Yeah, you can. And so I'm assuming people don't send, too many more than 8 balls. So,
but I think you're allowed 6 or 5?
5, I believe, for whatever the most insane number of all time. They still do that.
Just take up as much space as 6, but only have 5. But that would be my advice. Like, don't get too wrapped up in like wanting to throw strikes because 40 minutes isn't very long anyway. So just really try to understand because you're not getting told the patterns, right? With Junior Gold, it's still like a secret, I believe.
Yeah. Yeah, in general. And the one thing now watching history with Nick is that he'll probably try and push you in somewhere. Well, and here you go. There's some of it. And Tori has bowled this the last couple of years and been there with Keegan, I believe, as well. So they've seen it up close. But even the long patterns in general, Nick allows players to play out to the right. So make sure, just because, oh wow, it's a long pattern, even if they don't post it, go ahead and find out where that friction is, and then basically find out if the gutter hooks, if the lane man lets it. Find out how much the track hooks, because that's the lane surface, the center characteristic, what that is, and then find out what's in the middle of that, left of that. Inside your 40 minutes, that's lots of what you find out is which balls go through the front, how strong a ball can you throw without it puking, and how far right you can throw it. And then all your moves are left, and all your balls go to balls that get cleaner and have more shape. And you don't have a lot of time. You don't have a lot of time in the qualifying rounds either. So I like to start with that strongest ball, furthest point right, and just keep the moves going in one direction. So you're not playing 12 and then it turns out to be a short pattern and it hooks and you move left and then you think, oh, I actually need to move to the gutter. And then nobody wants to throw it at the gutter later. That's
no.
And so get that out of the way first. Define what the furthest point right, where the out of bounds is, if it's actually the gutter or if it's actually like 7, 8, 9, or if it's 10 or 12 or whatever it is. Figure out where the actual or virtual gutter is, and then find out how strong a ball can you throw without it rolling too early and puking through the pins. Controlling the pocket and making spares will get you a long ways through the qualifying rounds in that tournament. And so,
I was about to say the other thing I would test is make sure you kind of get an idea of what the approaches are like in the corners.
Yeah,
summer, like humidity, corners tend to be a little bit shitty.
Yeah,
so good luck.
Green Bay, you might be okay up that far.
Good luck to you as well, Steve. Trying to negotiate, being able to see, maybe take a Home Depot bucket to stand on.
I think they banned all that stuff.
Yeah,
but yeah, Stu Green's a great point, especially if you actually kind of hook at spares a little bit. Is shoot spares. That will probably save you far more pins than a couple extra strikes.
Somebody asks, like, quite a topical point that if Bill Christman was still alive, he would probably yell "preach."
Yeah, I mean, Adam, it's really supposed to be to sell to pro shops and centers. So there's cosmic bowling and there's miniature golf and there's carpet. There's lighting people. There's massage chairs. There's
one of everything.
Things in there.
It's just a huge trade show. And
just relative to other industries, it's actually a small trade show.
Yeah. No, I meant just in the
Jersey companies, distributors. It's basically a one-stop shop for anything bowling, whether you want to purchase it for your center, for your pro shop, the snack bar, the bar itself, remodeling, building your own center. I mean, there's basically something there for everyone. And then programs and things that you can do to. I wasn't there early enough this year. I don't know. There used to be a lot of classes, and so when I was looking at building the center, I went to place, basically how to keep your bar from stealing from you, ways to more efficiently run your center. Yeah.
And they always have like a speaker, like a guest speaker. Just my favorite Bowl Expo story by far, and I've told it a couple of times, but was at some point in every Bowl Expo I ever got to, Chrisman lost his mind over how much money Storm had spent on the booth or like on the nightclub that we'd rented out for the party or whatever. Right. And he said he would be like, God damn it, Stewie, why would we do this? This is so ridiculous. Oh, 1 year, fuck these guys. I'm not going to come on, type of, how he gets.
Yeah.
Or how he got.
He bends so he can get it off his chest and then.
Yeah. And it was like, it was the end of the day. It'd been a long day. We're walking out and me and Wes or whoever's with him are like dying laughing. Right. And he says, I'm telling you, 1 year, God damn it, I'm going to buy a glass box and I'm going to put $100,000 in. I'm going to get an NFL player to stand next to me, and I'm just going to stamp $100 bills and just give them out. He goes, I guarantee that'll make me more money than this booth.
Just stand out in the lobby.
No, he was going to buy the smallest booth that you could buy in Bowl Expo.
Oh, yeah.
But get it really close to the front and have a Storm stamp that he stamped $100 bills and said, thanks for your consideration.
Yeah, I don't know. After watching that, I don't know that you couldn't have Tyler and Hank and Slim and basically do a rundown of everything and a State of the Union, and then here's what's coming and here's what we have, and drop in shots with the players, and we throw in stuff in 20 minutes and email it out to everybody and save yourself a whole lot of money.
I think part of it is like you don't want to appear to be the company who's struggling, even though you're not, to not be at Bowl Expo. That's all it ends up being. Like if all the ball companies got together and said we're not going, and there was a possibility of that until Brunswick like owns 2/3 of the industry now in terms of brands, because Brunswick's booth's paid for by capital effectively. Like their booth is gigantic and it's got capital, and it's like, well, the bowling balls are here. Like they're not taking any players there, so they're always going to have their booth. But anyway, it was just a fun Bill Christmas story. I enjoy that. Like he was just going to stamp $100 bills with a Storm logo and just hand them out like real hundreds, and be like, this would be way better for me. He goes, I could get a massive offensive lineman to stand next to me, so nobody would come and fuck with us. It just would have been hilarious. Alan, yes, I believe that we do have 3 pretty good balls there in the Ion Pro Solid, High Road 40, and Gremlin. The thing that I really like, the thing I really like about this is I think that they are 3 kind of balls that we needed, whereas some of the releases that we've had, we didn't necessarily need them. We were just, we'll stop using that one and we'll have this one type of deal. You know what I mean?
3 very different cores.
Yeah. But what I'm saying is like the Ion Pro Solid, I feel like this is kind of, it feels like it's got a much bigger footprint than the Ion Pro, the original Ion Pro. Like it feels like it's really attached to the lane. Like when you throw it, like I feel like it's stronger, even if it might be a little cleaner, but it's way more continuous.
It's I know what you hope for with a follow up. It's actually an improvement over the first one.
I know I sound a bit like, oh yeah, it goes long and it hooks hard, but like to me, it just feels like I've got a big hook window with this one. Like, whereas the other one, I felt like for me and Andrew Anderson, it felt like had a very different relationship with the other one. Andrew felt like he could do that with the other one, and he was about the only other person I saw. For me, the original Ion Pro was fine. It was just a smaller window. I feel like this Ion Pro Solid's got a much bigger window to use it. And then High Road 40's already won Chris a title.
Yeah, I like that. And a fair play, I took the shine off of it because it does go long with the polish on it. But you take a little of that polish off of it, it really stands out. And I think it's got that old High Road big window. It's not that it's super sharp, but it does, if I want to roll it, it still continues for a long time. And that was the first thing I saw about it. And that's actually why I put some surface on it so I could use it more often, because I felt like if I could add 2,000 and it didn't get going forward, then I could really use it on some different things.
And then Gremlin, High Road 40 and Gremlin are a little bit what I've been asking for. They are 2 balls that don't use AI. I feel like that the AI is like something that makes the balls react differently, which is always good. But if it's on everything, then it's not making the balls react differently, is it? So the fact that you can now have cores with it and not have it, I think is a plus. Whether that's a trend or it's just how it worked out, I don't know. But the Gremlin, I believe that I spoke to the tour reps for the PWBA, and they told me that every lady who made the top 32 has at least one Gremlin in their bag this week. It's definitely a ball that like slower speed players are going to really like. Super clean, very much in the mold of X2, UC2 type.
Yeah, it's a cleaner cover, but it's got a giant motor in it. The core is pretty massive, and got to throw it a little bit over the last weekend at home, and then liked it enough that I brought it out here and used it in practice yesterday, and it was good on a lower mid volume 40-foot pattern, and it was also in play on the 46-foot. It's pretty good, I think.
Yeah, I was pretty sure that it'd be a ball that you would like. You had a lot of success with the X2.
Yeah.
Getting the ball started isn't really a big issue for you. It's it not kind of running out of gas. So
right.
like attention stars have been kind of average for you, I think. I'm kind of feeling like the Gremlin might fit that attention star type mold for you, where people would use the attention star, you may use the Gremlin. For me, I can use both. Kind of like the Gremlin won't be in play as much for me as it is for you, I wouldn't think.
Right.
But it's definitely a cleaner piece. So yeah, so we've really like those three
different pieces. I think they're all very complimentary. I can see all of them. Well, they all are in my bag, and have a play off each other. But
we had. Oh, sorry.
Yeah, Cliff says, yeah, if you don't show people, used to think you are struggling. So you need to be doing well to blow tens of thousands. Got
it. Any chance we had Mike on like 2 weeks ago talking about it?
To go back on if you go on our channel, you can go back and see, and he talks about it quite a bit. So.
See, this is where I get really frustrated, but as a purist, it feels childish, with the string pins. And I just like, it depends which part of purist you're talking about. Because if you're being a true purist, the strikes that are being achieved on free fall pins now just aren't pure. It's the most unpure thing ever.
Yeah. This week with twister pins, you're going to see a lot of seniors throwing the head pin back across at the 10 pin with not a lot of angle. Just getting it down there.
So, like, to me, it's hard to say right now, but to me, from the experiences I've had with them on the true strings as opposed to the party strings, I genuinely believe that like the pocket's smaller and it's going to bring the game a little bit back to a more normal level.
It will compact the scores again a little bit.
Yeah. I mean, like,
240 averages I don't think will be a normal thing on that.
Yeah. I mean, I'm sure you're going to be able to make the lanes easy enough, but I don't think you're going to be seeing people averaging like you're talking about 240 on a pattern that's like 2.5 to 1. I mean, like, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe we'll see. I mean, I do feel like bowlers today are way more aware of what's going on. Now, some of that's the internet, but I feel like they're paying a lot more attention, like as the overall field to what's going on. Mm-hmm. So maybe you'll see people adapt and throw it differently and it'll unlock more hits on the strings or whatever. But like, to me, I'm kind of like excited to see something different. I mean, in recent times, urethane balls and messengers have made the game so similar all of the time that, maybe we can get a little bit of a change. Yeah, what's up? That's an interesting combo. So yeah, sounds like you're definitely Chester, not Ellesmere Port though. Odds that Barnzy's leading score holds up for the final weekend. I think
you probably know better than any of us. You've been there the whole time. calling the action. So
Yeah, I mean,
but,
my odds are based on the fact that the Senior World Series is being bowled. So yes, somebody who I don't know could probably beat that score. It's not like it's a score that's so unbelievable.
right.
I do think that in that bowling center going lane to lane, I think if you got one lane, I think if you got the right lane, I think Andrew's score, I think your score, I think all the scores are in play. However, once you start darting across the bowling center, and like, I imagine that the last weekend, the squads are going to be a little fuller rather than more empty. And I think that that makes it a little more challenging when the squads are fuller because you just never really know what you're going to get. Like, Nathan beat me last weekend, but I was fairly confident there wouldn't be that many great scores in the squad last weekend because there was so many good bowlers and so many high rev rate bowlers. And when the lanes are a little easier, that's the time when you want to actually follow the donkeys, so to speak. Like, you want to follow the guys who bowl 160 because the lanes are like every shot you bowl are getting harder. So being on an empty squad like I was, we only had like 25 people on my squad.
Oh, wow.
Now we bowled across enough of the pairs. Like, I think they had 7 pairs in play, but obviously there wasn't exactly a shitload of breakdown. Now, as it turned out, I followed Justin Bone and Chase.
Oh.
But, overall, there wasn't exactly like tons of like high rev rate bowlers in our squad. So I think that that's definitely an advantage when the lanes are a little easier. So we'll see.
Yeah, and there's not a there's 120 entries or whatever it is out here this week, so those guys aren't going to be able to bowl.
And that's
So
exactly what I'm saying. Like,
that
in
does
the seniors.
eliminate the chances, or at least reduce them some. I snuck by Creevy, who actually opened in the 10th. I found out to stay ahead of him by 9 pins. So he shared this story. He was lamenting a little bit that he knew what the score was because he bowled on Sunday after we bowled and didn't get there. So Tolson, the cover on the new identity, Rex, where is it on the response scale? That's one of the more responsive covers in our arsenal. Yeah, I'd say it's top 2, 3.
Yeah,
I mean, 8 on the response scale of 1 to 10, I guess.
I mean, it, like I say, it always depends on what you're bowling on and everything else. There's times when R2S is going to be way more responsive than that. And there's times when, R2S feels like it's super smooth. So I don't find it to be like obnoxiously quick, put it that way.
Yeah.
Like, it's definitely slower than this Gremlin.
Okay.
Like, from what I've seen.
Yeah, I haven't had all the balls to do a proper test like that. So,
I'm just talking about
video coming up, but I just didn't have balls at home, so I just threw it and described it. But any tips on increasing rev rate for speed dominant, one-handed, and thumb righty? One of the drills I've seen that, I mean, it's really just grabbing a house ball, a lightweight house ball, and putting your fingers in it only, and just doing one-step drills so you get the feel of what that kind of release and collapsing down, and do it without your thumb. And it's got to be a light enough weight ball that you can keep your hand underneath it. And then as you get a feel for that, I mean, we used to mess around with pool balls, and you try and hook a pool ball. If you can get your hand quick enough to do that without slamming it in the table every time, it's it's a way to get your hand a little quicker too. But
EJ, I actually was there when EJ was trying to help Jared a little bit. Now, Jared had almost no rev rate, but one of the terms that he used that I actually found quite interesting was he was like talking about the separation time from when the thumb comes out and like really trying to work on feeling like the thumb out before you engage the fingers. So like, Jared had almost no separation between his thumb and his fingers.
Jared.
Like, they were almost Jared Poland, our buddy Jared.
Oh, okay.
So like, he almost had no separation between the thumb and the fingers. Like, so he was almost releasing all 3 at the same time. And like, once EJ started really talking to him about the foul line, you've got to feel like having his actual ball on his hand, but feeling like the thumb release and like trying to get that separation as long as possible before you try and have, attack the fingers. I actually thought that was an interesting way to look at it, and one that I hadn't really heard before. So I,
Yeah.
like I say, I found that kind of interesting. And like
Tips
when
from
you
the
talk
greats
about,
are always useful.
yeah, and also you're talking to the guy who probably has, realistically, of the good bowlers, the highest rev rate with his thumb in it.
Yeah.
So it's always interesting to go, wonder how he thinks about it.
Alan's bored today. Since we have the AI, will we have Skynet core involved soon?
I'm not smart enough to know what that means.
You might have to explain it, I guess. Here's what does my track tell me about my release? I notice all my track is slanted and my friends are more parallel relative to the pin. Two-handed high track, low tilt, 450. Slanted.
In general, I think he's probably talking about a bit like how Ryan was when he started, where you have that really big inverse, the negative tilt, so to speak.
The top of your track above your fingers is closer to the pin than the lower part.
Yeah. And it's just that you're over rotating too quickly.
It's the most common thing at the beginning because you're trying to hook it and you're trying to create speed and your shoulder rolls forward. And when your shoulder rolls forward, your hand and elbow get on the outside, and then you're trying to control it. So you end up kind of backloading it like kind of a full roller move, and it just goes right through the fingers. And once you get your shoulder back and start creating speed with your legs, your elbow stays in, that track will move off the fingers. Actually, Darren Tang just posted a thing about 4 things he's learned. And I found it informative. I thought it was a kind of a cool thing to go through since he's walking through the process.
Yeah.
And the first thing he talks about is that track. So that might be a good thing to go check out.
For sure. I've actually played around with both. I kind of liked it a little bit better with the shine on it.
Yeah, I liked mine enough with it on. I didn't take it off. I have enough balls above it. And so.
Yeah, like for me, it kind of doesn't really make that much sense when it doesn't flare that much to have it dull.
Yeah, just pushes you away without enough core.
Like, it's kind of like if it's not strong enough, I'll just throw the XL. Like, yeah. It'd be kind of strange to drive around in a truck with 20 balls in the back of it and then try and make all the balls the same.
Yeah.
Thanks, Glenn. Thanks, Evan. Nice to see you. Hope you're doing good.
What happened to Fagen? Why did he quit? Basically, he had a nice career. He was doing well. He was in, a regularly top 10 player, had won some majors. And he just wasn't making the kind of money he wanted to make. And he was at a level that was pretty high, but he's a smart guy. He went back, got his master's in finance. He had already had a degree from St. John's, and he went into the finance business, worked at the casinos for a little while, and now he's owning bowling centers. But it basically came down to, hey, I'm 30. I keep doing this for 10 more years, and he didn't feel like he had enough, and then he was going to have to start over then.
Yeah, I think he just decided that he didn't have enough faith in the PBA to have, because it was right around the time that the PBA was struggling and like trying to sell themselves, and before Bolero bought them, and he felt like he could make more money by going that route than bowling, so he did, and he probably has done. Fun phrase, chicken winging it. Somebody's talking about about drilled holes and using grips. Have you ever bowled fingertip without
in high school?
Yeah.
Used to
So-
smash my fingertip on the back of it. I throw some balls every once in a while because there's a couple of people that still did it. Not recently, and
Yeah.
I hated it. Flies off my hand fast. Feel like
Yeah.
I miss it. I don't like it at all.
Like I would say at least a 10% increase.
That's the
Like,
number I was 10 to 15 is kind of the
Yeah.
minimum.
I mean, it feels like it just holds on your hand a little more. Like you can get better grip from the softer grips than you can from the hard resin.
The other thing you do is you can hang on to it with less grip pressure. With no grips, you're squeezing it pretty hard, which in general just makes the ball hook sooner. Which in different eras that was good. And with reactive balls, you're really trying to get it closer to the end of the, save energy for the back end of it, and then you can throw the stronger reactive balls.
I've only seen the first 3 words of this question, and I already know the answer is going to be it depends. Is it better to keep your fingers shorter hooked in setup or fingers more relaxed to increase rev rate? And it says we'll definitely work on that with a light house ball. I don't think that how you set up to start with makes that much difference, for the simple reason that most people, when they push it away, their wrist collapses. There are very few people who are strong enough or have the coordination enough to be able to start like Chris does with it cupped and keep it cupped the whole way through. Like if you watch Chris 99% of the time, like he's got it like started off kind of like cupped already, and you watch his wrist and it kind of stays in that position for the majority of his swing.
Mm-hmm.
You watch a regular guy do that, they'll be like, and then they'll push it away, and then their hand immediately is like this. So it's like, well, you could have just started like that and not put all that pressure on your wrist before you started.
Right.
And that's a bit like how you're talking here. I think that being as relaxed as possible is always the best because it doesn't put as much strain on your tendons and such. But to all those guys who say, "Oh, I have no grip pressure," yeah, it's 2020 now, bro. Let's get real. Like pretty much everybody who's got their thumb has got a burn mark on their thumb. Like pretty much everybody, like that, they're gripping the shit out of it. That's just the way bowling is now. It's like, Ernie Els ain't playing golf anymore, like on the men's tour in that way. Like there aren't very many of those guys who are just like look like they've got totally effortless swings because they're trying to smack it down there.
Yeah, you're trying to
Kind of
keep
the
up
same with us.
with Bryson and Rory, and the other tour is trying to keep up with Belmo and EJ. And
Yeah.
it doesn't come with nice, smooth, and relaxed.
That's to say.
As far as fingertip, I mean, I'm semi fingertip, but really, there's almost no one doing that these days. I mean, some people I guess are because they're digging in a little bit, and so they are without calling it that. The one thing that is there's not a lot of super stretch spans anymore. That's I mean, it's just there's a reason why why guys quit in their basically mid to late 30s in previous generations, and I think that has a little bit to do with it. Is that hands and wrists and stuff just gave out? I mean, it's tough.
Yeah, you're trying now to really want to get your thumb out of it as quickly as possible. So having the longer span just makes it harder to get it out as quick. It's like there aren't a lot of people on the men's tour who have got a ton of forward these days in their thumb.
Yeah.
For the same reason. It's just difficult to want to do that.
Soft Flex here. Phil would like to ask the IBMA award-winning commentator his thoughts on PBA bringing back a one-off team event like the one at South Point in 2015-16.
I think it'd be fun. I just think that it's just a little difficult, like how many teams would you end up with? Like, because it's the PBA, they're not going to have like rules over who can build the teams. So
what did we have then? 20 some?
Yes, but that's what I'm saying. I just think that
That's 100 guys. There's just not a no.
yeah, that's kind of challenging. Like I thought it was a fun event. It'd have been more fun if we'd have won, but I thought it was a fun event.
Mhm.
The problem I have with it is we are struggling to have enough events as it is. So having extra events, it's a bit like I talk about this a little bit with the TOC. The TOC is one of the most contentious events because we let people bowl or we don't let people bowl. We have points. We don't have points. We have major points. We don't. And all of it comes down to the fact that, like, realistically, it's hard to have an event like the TOC on the calendar and it be the way everybody would really want it to be while only having, 10 events.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah,
hard
in
to have a
ideal,
huge
it's only
prize fund.
PBA Tour champions. And it's a pretty select event, but we don't have enough events. And so you
Yeah.
can't cut out 10 to 15% of the prize fund for the year.
And then have a third of the guys who bowl on tour not be able to bowl it.
Yeah.
And of course, like as it goes, the less events we play and the more dominant the players are at the minute makes it harder for anybody to get into the new group.
Yeah.
Like it just, it's a very challenging. Hey Chris.
Hey, good to see you again.
Cleaning some pools this morning. Okay. Getting them done before the sun gets out, I would imagine.
Mm-hmm.
I'm still trying to tweak my 6-ball Arsenal Ion Max Equinox. Okay. Well, you have an enormous gap between Ion Max and Equinox.
Well, I've got the physics blackout in there.
Yeah, I guess if you have the physics blackout with a bit more service, you can move that up for sure. But that would be the main spot. Other than that, yeah, I think it looks pretty good. You freaked me out a little bit by having the physics blackout so far down.
Yeah, the order's kind of backwards is all.
Yeah.
You the IMX physics blackout, probably Equinox Gremlin, and then High Road.
I think those two balls are going to be two that you could ask, survey 100 people, and like some people are going to see that the High Road 40 has the stronger cover. Some people are going to see the Gremlin flares more.
Well, if you leave polish on it, I don't know. It feels like the Gremlin will hook more. Box, but yeah, it depends on if you bowl on friction. You probably still see the High Road 40 as being more. And that because that core is so much bigger in the
Gremlin.
Sorry, I was reading too, trying to catch up here.
Yeah.
But
the late Ron Clifton was always 1.5 forward thumb pitch in the ball. See, this is where I get frustrated with people, because I'm not going to say that that's wrong if you've got a 3.5 inch span, but if Bill O'Neill has, and he actually tried it, but it's insane. His hand's massive. Once your hand's bigger, pitch is relative.
Yeah.
So, this is why, like, I've heard other shops like, oh, everybody should be 0-0. It's just like, there's no everybody should be anything.
Right. There's no way. You have arthritis, you have mitigating factors, you're stiff, you're super stretchy, you have a long span, you have a big hand. You
have a long thumb. Like the length of your thumb is one of the things that people don't even take into consideration. Like me and my dad have almost the same like span, so to speak, but his thumb is like way longer than mine. And for the longest time, we couldn't work out why he couldn't clear it. Well, apart from being like just not as like in time, his thumb there's more of his thumb to come out. Like, so of course you've got to factor in if the person's got a long or a short thumb. Like, I mean, Bill's hand's gigantic. Like Ken Samard ain't having a half forward with that paw.
No, it's already halfway around the ball anyway. So
yeah,
0 is forward for him compared to somebody with a span an inch shorter.
Yeah, like, Kirsten Penny had a tiny hand. She half forward was nothing for her.
Yeah.
Because she had about that much, Yeah.
Interesting question. 100K on the line. You only get one shot to strike. Which center do you choose?
Lanes at Coffee Creek could probably be up there. Flew around everywhere there.
Not getting my vote.
Wherever Bob Learn bowled that in Erie.
Yeah. Well, he did that in a
no, but that's what I'm saying. I want those lanes rebuilt.
Yeah, east to get there. It's not much different though. My pick would either be North Rock in Wichita, or I think it's Eastway or Eastgate lanes in Erie. The carry in that place was phenomenal. One Brunswick, one AMF. Yeah. So
that place where what's his name struck. Yeah, I mean, I would say anywhere in the city of St. Louis, because my God, they have some high scores.
Strike and Strike used to be would
there you go.
This doesn't exist anymore. There you go. Strike and St. Louis.
He's saying my buddy Sean's saying Lakeview. That's one of the retirement community centers in Phoenix. They used to run the league there. Oh, yeah? I had back-to-back seasons averaging 254.
Is that where you're going to live soon?
I hope so.
Asking for a friend.
I'm not sure they'd be thrilled at Brady being in the community. But yes. The only other place that I could think of is where Joe Navarro bowls, that East Slip or whatever. But I want to pick on McNeil because he always averages 250, but it doesn't seem to matter whether he lives in Florida or Minnesota or wherever. He just averages 250 every time. So, ta-da.
Joseph, it's finally time to replace my beloved reality. Was thinking about going back symmetrical like a phase 2 or rock star. Any suggestions?
That's not going to get a tick from me.
That's significantly less than a reality. For one, I don't know that we have a great reality replacement at the moment.
No, I mean, I think that if you were trying, you'd probably look at, for me anyway, like probably Hyperdrive, would be the one that's
a little quicker. It's actually a much more palatable league version of a big ball. I think the Hyperdrive compares more to a gem for me, which is in that category ish. I mean, I've still kept my gem in reality, and then I have a reality or a Hyperdrive I keep polished as a ball underneath that. But yeah, it's I think those are two. I mean, phase 2 is closer, but you'd have to put quite a bit of surface on it, I think, to attempt, and I really don't think you're going to get there.
So, yeah, I mean, the other ball, if you kept surface on it, that I think, I mean, I'm not sure a lot of people are going to think this way, but like for me, it's pretty continuous with Physics Blackout. Physics Blackout for me is quite, it's a little cleaner. But the thing with it is when it's dull, I feel like it picks up and it's quite rounded, a bit like the reality was. Problem you're not going to get is once that ball becomes a little shinier, it's going to be way weaker than the reality was. The reality got a little shinier. Right. But that's yeah. I don't think you're going to see that reaction out of a phase 2 or a rock star. I don't think that's. I think what makes those balls great when they're asymmetrical is the fact that you can kind of miss more in the oil and they'll still have that motor to continue. Whereas I feel like sometimes the symmetrical balls just get a little flat when you miss in like that.
Should the PBA go back to naming patterns 1, 2, 3 instead of animal patterns? Well, I mean, they're really more name patterns these days than they are animal patterns almost. But yeah, I mean, we've completely ruined any equity we had in the names by changing the distances. I mean, over time, they were all going to, volumes might have changed a little bit, but I'm not sure. Yeah. Now that they literally are changed every tournament, even, I don't even know what.
I don't even really know how that changes anything. it's still a name of the pattern, and they're still going to go, well, this doesn't play like pattern one's supposed to play. So,
yeah, at this point, you have to go back to actually looking at actually look at the graphs again now, because there's enough different factors that actually seem to matter. Maybe we always needed to, and just need, at the end, it doesn't matter because you can still look at it. You go out, throw balls, and adjust based off what your ball does. Hot take, freezing cold take.
I was about to say
freezing cold.
My response to that was, and the typhoon's just a stronger ice storm. Like, what does that even mean?
Yeah, no. I mean, there's so many balls in between these two balls that I can't even. A high road 40 is close to being a stronger typhoon than.
Yeah, but again, like they're not. Yeah,
they're not really that close.
I mean, they're both round, and one hooks more than the other. Like, yeah. Like, I couldn't imagine using the Typhoon and the Gremlin on the same thing.
No, the Typhoon has to have friction down lane, and when it does, it hooks miles. But we've seen it on a longish pattern, which I could throw a Gremlin easily on. I could never throw a Typhoon on.
I mean, I've literally only been able to throw the Typhoon in one spot, and that was in Jackson.
Yeah.
And it was great there. Money. The great and the good. Rick says, pattern names are like ball stuff. Names, they mean nothing. Yeah. I mean,
yeah.
I do feel like that's one of the most annoying things that the pattern thing did, because I think it's cool that people understand what that there's different patterns and stuff. But the fact that people go, well, this isn't how Cheetah plays.
Yeah.
Well, it plays different everywhere.
Right. Yeah. So this is funny. Pattern one sponsored by Semantics.
Yeah.
Have you ever bowled candle pins or duck pins? What was your experience? Yeah, I mean, done some of both. I prefer the regular game. We did a little short version of duck pins while we were at the Gaylord. I bounced one right off. The approach is about 2.5 feet high.
Yeah, and it looked like you were terrified of your fingers.
I let it off my hand a little quick, and it bounced off the edge. And I as it was in the air, I was terrified it was going to go through the masking unit.
Yeah.
And so,
you can continue, but I've got to wrap it up, and I know that you've got to get over and have a watch in Jackson.
Yeah, we're going to do some watching, do some recon. There's not much advantage being on B if you're not going to pay attention to what's going on. So,
thank you everybody who's shown out for us this morning. It was nice for me and Chris to just have a chat together for a while. I feel like the smaller the ball, the better I would do. I've never really played candle or duck pin, but relative to other 10-pin bowlers, I feel like I would dominate. Anyway, it is our fun time now, and I've just realized I don't have to say this because this is Chris's thing. I've just been saying it so many times.
There you go. You can do it if you want.
No, it's fine.
All right. Well, I have no idea if I'll be here on Tuesday or not, but in between now and then, please support the sponsors that support us. Storm, Rotogrip, 9 Global, Coolwick, Bowlers Mart, Firelight Bowling Center, Lightning Strikes, and Platinum Ford. Till next time, stay safe, stay healthy. God bless.
See you later, guys. Thank you.